All right.
Got it.
Well, Craig, let me officially welcome you as part of the recording. People that'll listen to this later, folks, Craig Stevens, he's going to give us the lowdown on the steady power. And without further ado, Craig, thanks for joining us and being a part of this.
Muting.
And if folks would please mute their line so you're not on an open mic, and that'll make for a great recording for those who listen to it later. So, Craig, thanks so much, and let her rip.
Evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. And as you know, my passion is the water and the air I love and the laundry, but there is a unit we almost never talk about, but I'll tell you, I was there from the beginning with this one too. In 2005, actually, is when this came out, but we have the steady power, which has been around since 2009. And let me just show you, it comes in the box here. It's in the back office. It's under more. It doesn't even say steady power. So if you're, so that's the box it looks like, and it comes with the instructions. And so what does it do? Okay. So I've had one of these hooked to everywhere I've lived to the electrical panel. So this unit connects very simply. There's 4 wires and it's done. You want to do it, and I'll explain in a minute why you want to get a certified electrical contractor or electrician that has a number that they can put on it, and I'll show you why in a minute. But it makes it worth it when you have them do that. If you don't, it doesn't have the warranty with it, which I'll explain. Why would I attach these? Well, let me tell you my story. I ended up buying one of these when they first came out, and I had it hooked up to my house. And how I did that, and I recommend this, is I called about 10 different contractors and had them come over to see it and estimate installing it. Tell me an estimate of putting it in. Okay. But every one of those guys found out about the steady power. So everyone always wonders, how do you get contractors to look at this stuff? Well, invite them over and ask them how much to hook this thing up. It's 4 wires. It goes in its own circuit breaker. So what does it do? Well, let me explain. So I even though it's Vollara, I always question whether something works. I'm just one of those guys. My dad was a first responder for 63 years. He didn't trust anything unless he ran it through its paces. You shouldn't. In life, we should always evaluate things, especially if we're going to refer them to other people. So what did I do? I had a guy, well, first of all, they were all interested in it. A bunch of them thought it was hocus pocus, but a lot of them were convinced enough to buy one and try it at their own place, right? So it hooks up. There's 2 little lights right here. When they connect it to its own breaker, 25 amp breaker, it goes 110 ground and neutral. That's what they hook it to. Why the ground and neutral is because I'll show you in a minute, the protection that it gives is through the ground and neutral as it goes across the 110 line. So you've got a thing called steady power. So they connect it up. First of all, it protects your entire electrical system from a lightning, surge, harmonic noise, and EMF. If you don't know, when you live in a home, it's a giant your building is wrapped in electrical wires that have power in them. That puts out electromagnetic frequencies. It puts out all kinds of noise on the line. That's not good to be in that. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you an important safety tip. If you have an electric blanket, throw it away. Electric blanket is like laying in a microwave oven, literally. That's what they are. And I get it. Everyone wants to be warm and cozy, but warm and cozy, you don't want to glow in the dark either. So by the way, where's my credentials? 10 years managing high-end electronics store. I mean, that carried things like capacitors and resistors and chokes, real electronics store, not a Radio Shack, which I'm not badmouth Radio Shack, but we sold to industrial and commercial businesses that built things, right? So I had the guy hook it up. It took him literally 10 minutes. I mean, it's not hard to do. The install, it can be set into the wall, mounted on the wall. It's kind of an interesting box. And you just need to be able to see the lights here. When they flip the power on, then these 2 lights will come on, meaning that it's working. It's got 2 big capacitors in it, a motor start, motor run capacitor. What is a capacitor? It's a battery. It's something that charges up with electricity. That's what capacitors do. So these capacitors, once you turn it on, fill up with energy. What it's designed to do is it's got a stabilizing circuit in it. Well, that means it cuts the EMF down. Put a meter, you can plug in a noise meter into your plug and it'll show 1,000. You turn this unit on and it drops right down to nearly zero. I mean, so what does that help? Your electronics, your big screen TVs, your computers, anything that's plugged in, if there's noise on the line, it can affect it and the power supply. And even our air units run better and the power supply is protected with that. Here's another feature nobody tells you about. It helps if you have, I'm getting solar installed, 18 panels here in the next few weeks at my house in the middle of nowhere up in Pennsylvania. This helps when you use an inverter to invert 12 volts into 110, which is what you're doing. You're creating 12 volt or 24 volt outside and you have to convert it into 110 to use in the house, regular power. There's a loss in that power when it's put through that system. This helps to give about 10 to 50% better transfer between 12 volt and 110. That's a real big feature. So if you know anybody installing solar, they'll want to include this in their solar installation because it helps in that inversion, not losing as much on the inversion. So I hooked it up, not knowing what it would do. We don't make any claims on the percentage of reduction of your bill. Here's why. Every home is different and it needs to go one on each 200 amp panel. If you've got a huge house that has two 200 amp panels, you have to put one on each one. That's all this could handle is one panel, but that's fine. The more panels you have, the bigger your electric bill is, the bigger the reduction is. I couldn't believe what happened when the electric bill came. You have to go the next full month of it on. And what it's doing is every time a motor starts, think of the motors in your houses, guys. You got your fridge motor that kicks on and off, ceiling fan motors. There's motors everywhere inside of your house. Those are called inductive loads. And if you don't know this, what happens when a motor turns on is it spikes. To start that motor, it takes a huge amount of energy. And then once it gets running, it'll stay pretty stable up here. But it starts down here and it jumps up. Well, if you don't know this, the power company makes you pay on the highest spike of your month. That's what your rate is for that month. Wait, what? Yeah, exactly. So you don't want motors spiking your things up when they start, especially if two things start at the same time. Your fridge motor and your AC motor kicks in, it'll jump way up. And now your bill is higher. How do we know that? Whenever there's a power outage, you'll notice businesses always run down and shut all their mains off. Like if you've got a 7-Eleven or something, you got 100 refrigerators. If the power goes off, then it comes back on without you turning it off and turning each one on at a time, it'll spike it. Their bill the next month will be 2 to 3 times higher than it is for a normal month because they spiked it and that's what they pay on. So what this does is, as a motor turns on, instead of drawing new power to make that spike, it feeds the power from inside this unit to help start that motor during that phase of where it would raise up to do a peak on your electric bill. That's where the savings are. Do we know how much? No, you could go from 5 to 20%, you can go whatever. We don't make a specific claim because that's not why you want to buy it. You buy it for the protection. Lightning, surge, harmonic noise, and EMF. If a lightning bolt strikes your electric panel or your electric wire and it gets past this unit and it goes through and damages and blows out any of your equipment, let me show you what I mean by the warranty. Has a 10-year warranty if you have it professionally installed for 10 years. And if it does sacrifice itself, which it's designed to do, sacrifice the unit to protect your equipment, they will send you a new one. You just call them up. My steady power got blown out they go, great, what's the serial number? They'll send you one. You took the other one in the box and send it back. 10 years of protection. Now, when you have it professionally installed inside the box, there's a card and that has to be filled out by the electrical contractor and put their contractor's number. That gets you the warranty. What's the warranty? 10 years. And if anything gets damaged because of that lightning strike or surge that got past this unit, they have let's see if you can read that, $25,000 insurance policy attached for 10 years. anything that gets damaged because the machine did not do its job, the company has a carrier that has a $25,000 limited warranty insurance policy. It's amazing. So that's why buy it for the protection, then get the savings. Normally the unit will pay for itself within a year on a large house. Let's say, let's do some math, not making any guarantees or warranties, but if you had a $300 a month electric bill and it dropped 20% on average per month, that's about, that's good money. It's that's $60 a month times a year. That's over $700 in savings besides the protection it does. And remember, whatever you're getting for savings, multiply it by 120 months, 10 years. That's what, so it paid just like the laundry pure and our water machine, they all pay for themselves. The larger the bill, I had a guy in Hawaii buy one. Now I targeted electrical contractors. I'm just going to tell you, I targeted contractors. When I realized this thing worked, I'm one of those guys. I dialed up contractors all over the United States and just said, hey, have you heard about and most of them hang up on you, but I got about 30 of them that decided to buy one. And they bought one and tried it out. And they went, hey, wait a minute, this thing really works. The guy in Hawaii had a $1,200 month electric bill, $1,200 a month. That's the most expensive place in the United States to pay for electricity is Hawaii. It's an island. They have to run generators to give people power. And so think of that. It's easy to install by a contractor. You should see a savings on you'll notice a reduction in your bill average monthly bill pretty quickly. You got to have a full month with it. And it's very simple. It's nice looking. It can go on the wall, next to the panel, inside the panel, anywhere where they can hook the wires to it. And so why I recommend it is buy it for the protection, have it installed to protect lightning, surge, harmonic noise, EMF, right? As with anything else with a Vollara, we're about energy, power, results. And this is results based, right? That's why 10-year warranty, $25,000 insurance policy, and it sacrificed itself. The poor thing, the lights go out, and then you just call up the company, give them the serial number, and they send you another one, and then the contractor just comes and swaps it. Then it's easier. Once it's installed and you got that breaker, it's really easy to take one out, put one back in. Then every 10 years, I just put a new one. Like the house I'm in here is a 190-year-old farmhouse. It's down in the basement, and it's great here. And I can't wait to see what kind of more inversion rate I get for my solar panels I get put in. So let's recap this. We got the information here that it comes right in it. Even shows how to install it for the electrical contractor. The documents come right in the box. And then you want to just make sure they fill out the warranty card properly with their name and contractor's number, so that then you register it with the company, and now you're good. You're 10 years protection, got the insurance policy if it does let something get through on your expensive equipment, and it saves you money. It pays for itself. Another is no-brainer. If you don't have one, I highly recommend them. Like I said, every house I've lived in since these came out, I've had one running. If you've ever turned a blender on in the kitchen and noticed squiggly lines on the TV, that's noise on the line. It eliminates all that EMF and noise and things that can bother, especially nowadays. Our computers nowadays are very susceptible to EMF and noise. So are our TV sets and all these high-end electronics. Yes, Vollara product, Marcel. Yes, yeah, it's called the Steady Power, and Vollara has been carrying it since 2009, I believe. So for basically 12, 13 years. I've got them. I've lived in about 4 different places maybe 5 since I've used this. Every one of them, that's what it gets. I mean, I'm a Valerian, so I have the air, I have the water, I have the laundry, I have the power units hooked up, and then I use the nutrition, of course, because why I've been with them for so long is everything works. And it works so well that you want to talk about it. And we don't have to sell anything. If you just show somebody that your electric bill lowered enough to pay for this, in a year or 2 or whatever it takes to do it, and now I got a 10-year protection and it's got an insurance policy attached, it's not very hard to talk people into wanting to try it. And then once they get the results, of course, they're going to tell everybody else about it. It's just like the laundry unit. Nobody knows what that does till they hook it up. I always call the laundry unit like the redheaded stepchild of our whole home protection package. Everyone understands the air and the water, of course, the laundry, but come on, and then you hook it up. And when you learn how to use it, what it does, wow. Well, this one is the same thing. Most of you on this call have never heard of the Steady Power. And if you have, you didn't know what it does. That's why tonight we're explaining it. We want to impart information to you that now you've got, especially in an area that gets a lot of storms. Like if you're down in the south, like where Arnold is, a lot of lightning storms and all that, you definitely want to have one, because how that happens is it goes through and hits your outside lines and drives right through your power line. And your panel is not designed to stop that. It didn't just let it come right in and blow out your refrigerator, because a lot of fridges now have electronics in them. Anything that has a computer in it is susceptible to having problems. And you don't want to know how much it costs to fix those. Some of them, it's like an airbag going off in a car. It's totaled, the equipment is. So why not have an insurance policy backed by 10-year warranty and have it pay for itself very quickly? The higher your electric bill, the more motors you have, especially if your spouse or your significant other has a machine shop out in the garage where they're machining and running grinders and saws and everything. That's what it's doing. When those click on, they really cause your electric bill to jump. Whereas with this, it's going to help start all those motors and keep that down. So I'm excited to introduce this as another, and it's only because I've been doing this so long that I know about all these things and have actually used them, but I'm highly recommending it. I don't think you'll be dissatisfied at all. It's a Velar product. It's been around, 12, 13 years, and it really works. And they really back the 10-year full protection. So if it does sacrifice itself, they will send you a brand new one within that 10 years. And if it does get past it and damages your equipment, you can make a claim to the insurance company that's through the Velar will lead you through that. And then they'll buy your equipment if it gets past it. That's how sure they are that the unit will work for protection. So hopefully this was new and exciting information to you. I hope it's something you would consider using. And because if you're a whole home protection house where you have water, air, laundry, use, and nutrition, there is no reason not to have our 5th division, which is the power division. It won't let you down. And I'm just here to tell you, been using it since the day they've been available. And frankly, I'm shocked at how many contractors were very excited about it and started actually marketing them to their clientele. So thank you so much for the opportunity to introduce let me show it to you again, our Steady Power.
Awesome, Craig. Thanks so much. Great power production. We'll take time for some questions, and I'll kick it off with a couple of my own. What would you say is the range of cost to have somebody install it? What's your experience there?
Well,
it sounds like it installed pretty fast, but
depends on where you're at. That's why I always recommend just getting the phone book out of the yellow pages or go online and just find five or six local guys and just have them come over and estimate it for you, or they'll have you send them the information, the spec sheet, and say what it needs to be done. And they could probably quote you on the phone. But that's how we introduce it to Tina Ross. Yep. Known about it from the start. So a lot of people don't know Tina. It's very interesting because a lot of people in Velara get focused on things. So Steve, I'm $100 to $200 would not be outrageous, because once you factor in the cost of the unit, add that in, that amount of money that you're saving over that period of time can be overcome within 1 to 2 years. And like I said, always buy it for the protection. Do not buy it for the cost savings. That will come. We just don't know how fast, because we don't know how many inductive loads, but it definitely will pay for itself well within the lifetime of the 10 years, mostly within, let's say, 1 to 3 years. And then you're running on freebie. You're running on the savings after that, after you've overcome the cost of it. But remember, we always buy it for the protection. So I would estimate between $100 to $200 is a good estimate for the install cost for it for professional.
All righty. And am I thinking correctly that the device installs like next to your circuit breaker panel? It's not something that gets installed on the outside of your house, right?
Correct. It goes next to the panel. They have to put their own 25 amp breaker. Each breaker has 4 poles in it. There's a 110, because your house has 220 volts capable for dryers and stoves. So there's 4 wires, 110 ground, and neutral. The ground and neutral are what control your EMF, your noise. Here's what happens. If a lightning strike hits, it hits there, and the unit shunts that power to the ground, right into the ground. Instead of letting it go through the box and hitting the 2 power lines and going through the house, that's its job. So yeah, 4 wires. It's very easy to attach. If somebody were to be marketing them as a contractor, they know it's very simple to hook up. It's, these guys walk up, pull on a breaker, put in a 25 amp breaker, put the wires in, screw them in. They mount the unit, flip it on, the 2 lights come on, installed. Then they'll go and, smoke a cigarette or take a break and pretend like it took them more than 10 minutes, because that's usually 10 to 20 minutes is what they do.
Yeah, yes. They can spend 15 minutes reading the specs, right?
Yeah, it's not even that. They can see, it's the diagram on the documentation that comes. Somebody asked about, anywhere where you can get near your power panel, it'll work. So if you share a panel with somebody, they both get the savings. It just can't be more than one. I'll give you an example. When I was in Northern Virginia, I had a couple that they had to buy 2. And they weren't happy about it because they had 2 200 amp panels. So they told me, so I gave them a good deal because they were getting 2. And they had a swimming pool, a jacuzzi. He had a shop in the garage that had electrical equipment. They had a pretty good sized bill. They had such a massive reduction. They told everybody. I got so many clients from them about it. They had a huge reduction in their electric bill because they had so many motors. Now, that's why we can't give a direct estimate on cost savings. We just say we know it'll pay for itself. We're just not sure, depending on your amount of inductive loads, amount of motors that are starting on and off.
Right.
But that's the key. But we don't, remember, you buy it for the protection, and then you let it pay for itself in the time it takes. And then after that, you're running on the savings every month. And that's just extra money for you to save and apply somewhere else.
Okay. Yeah, very good. Arnold's got his hand up.
Yep.
Go ahead, Arnold.
Let me pull my hand down first. Yeah. So, it's one of the things that I've kind of targeted a couple of people, and we're about building a team, right? And if you can get people to stay in their lane, eventually everybody will learn about every Velara product we've got. So I got a hold of a lady, Amy Cox, that owns Cox Electrical. And I asked her, I said, so let me ask you something. Would you be interested in increasing your income, maybe providing a electrical audit for your clients and introducing them to the Steady Power? She goes, what is it? And so she started to do that. And so signed her up as a distributor, Steve. She charges $150 to install it. Her first week, and she's got 2 full-time technicians that work with her. But the next thing was, tell me about the air purifier. I said, no, I'm not going to tell you about it. I'll let you borrow one for a few days. I said, you tell me what you think about it after you've got it. But I'm not trying to recruit her outside of her electrical field. I want her to maximize her electrical field. Same thing with plumbers, Steve. We need people to install the water when we've got the living water, when they want to put a nice faucet in there, right? So, I'm excited about Saturday because I'm gonna share information on how to recognize, how to recruit people, what is the key to getting people involved in this. But I'll send you a picture. I've got Amy's first installation, a little picture of it. So I'll send it to you too.
So Arnold, what you said, I love. Here's the thing, guys. We're not a linear company. We don't have these divisions and this one's way over here, that one's over there. We're circle. Every one of our products leads to the other, because once they're excited about water, they want to know about air, vice versa. Then the laundry, there's one. And then the power, why not? So when I do a show and I'm in an unusual place for what would be this equipment, let's say not at a home show, they would say to me, Arnold, what are you doing here with this stuff? I don't know. Do you breathe air, drink water, do laundry, and have a power bill, and like to be healthy and have good nutrition? Yeah, then you're my people. In other words, we're so universal. That's why ours is circular. Like Arnold said, start at 12 o'clock on this one, but it's always going to lead. Like I said, the lady asked about the other, try an air. that's our job, is we introduce it by letting them test it, get their feedback, and if they're excited, I always look for the light bulb, guys. When the light bulb goes on, I know they're interested in something. And I always learn by showing them everything. I'm looking for them to be excited about one thing, because they're all Velara products. And once they know one Velara product works satisfactorily, then they're interested in trying other things. Do we push it on them? Like Arnold said, no. Matter of fact, he'd like the lady to stay in her lane, but he's not going to refuse to allow her to get an air unit for her own house or business. I mean, that would not be what we do. That would be unfair of ours, but we want her to be able to become successful with the product line that would fit in her lane, like you said. But you never know what could happen when she decides the air works great and the other things. So that's what I like about our company. It's circular. Each product leads to the other. They all work. They all are cost saving. They're all nature based. I'm telling you right now, the reduction in the EMFs, which is bad for people when you're in the house, you're in a big magnet, and the circle your wires that go all the way through your house, put a little force field in it. And by turning this off or lowering it, it's much safer inside of your structure for children. That's why I never understood. They always put playgrounds underneath high tension wires. No kids, I don't think we're going to play here because I don't want you to get microwaved out. But I don't know why they do that, but they do. And so that's the same. If you weren't on the call when we first started, take your electric blankets and donate them. Let's get rid of them, because you're laying in a magnetic field. That's what you're doing. And so, yeah, it warms you up, but it's warming you up, but it's also irradiating you. The higher you turn that knob, the more energy is coming out from it. It's just like almost like a microwave oven. It's sending out that EMF out in a force field. You don't want that. You want to avoid that. The unit reduces that. And so we tell people, try not to introduce more of that electronic frequencies into your life. It can affect a lot of things.
Right.
Steve, I've got a visual of that the electric blanket. So, Craig, it's like you've got the frog in the pot of boiling water. You turn it on real slow. I think the side picture should be grandma in the electric blanket being cooked too, and just not recognizing it.
Guys, I don't know if you know that I can't hold a cell phone of any kind up to my head. Within minutes, my head's throbbing. I'm very susceptible to stuff. So I always just use the speakerphone or something else. I'm just telling you, everybody's different, but we all react to these electronic frequencies. Nature has frequencies too, but they're natural. This is not natural. Living in a house is not natural. We do it for safety and security and to keep climate adjusted, everything else, to be comfortable. But we're also surrounding ourselves with things that we probably want to make sure we reduce. So we don't scare people into buying things, but all those benefits, getting rid of those EMFs, protecting the equipment, and then it pays for itself. So if anybody can tell me the downside, that's why it's been hooked up in every one of the places I live. I can't find a downside to this one either. So I can't recommend it more highly. And the fact that we have it, we don't have to go outside Velara to get it, even better.
So Craig, another question for you. Is the warranty transferable? Do you know?
Yeah, I believe it'll stay with the property because that's where it was installed. So I'd have to check, but I think it's, if as long as that warranty card can just be transferred to them, they just have to prove that the unit was installed by a licensed contractor. And as long as that warranty card is transferred to the house, it is permanently installed, so you can't remove it.
It becomes part of the, from a real estate standpoint, Craig, it becomes part of the property.
So the warranty card would be transferable. I'm positive.
Absolutely. You do that at closing, you make a big deal. The other thing, and I'm working right now on a presentation for builders, because this is right now, with interest rates going up and everything, things are slowing down in the real estate field and the market. So what's going to separate a builder differently? And one of the things that I plan on highlighting is at the closing, presenting that $25,000 certificate of insurance for the appliances and that, because that doesn't happen. The builder, what's it called? The builder warranty for the slab, it's by law, it's 5 years. It's got to be explained. Well, this is something that I think we can tap in. Once again, electrician does electrical, right? Builder, well, how about let's eco-certify in the entire home? and there's just benefits, but it's thinking differently than just trying to think about making a sale. Let's look at some of the opportunity that is right in front of us.
Right. So, yeah, very good. Craig, would it eliminate the need for, like, for instance, I have at my feet under my desk, a battery backup, and it's been beeping at me on and off for a while. Would I be able to ditch that?
No, it's not that big of a storage device. What it's designed to do, remember that spool up of a motor is when, well, you know this, if you're heavy on the pedal on your car, you're filling up more often and you're wasting a lot of gas. So that when you push the accelerator down, that's when the most energy is used to get the car rolling. Once it's rolling and you set the cruise control, you're sipping gas. Well, this works the same way. It doesn't have enough storage capacity to run something. What it's doing is it's just getting the motor to the point where it's like that.
Let me clarify my question then.
Yeah.
I used probably the wrong terminology. It is a battery backup, but the replacement of the battery that I think has probably gone bad, it needs to go. I don't really need battery backup, but this particular unit also provides some electrical protection. So if it's from an electrical protection standpoint, I may just let this device go. With the Macs and the way the things are today with batteries, I don't need a battery backup to my computers.
Correct. And it's a giant surge protector. I mean, this thing weighs about 15 pounds. These are huge capacitors inside of here. So it's basically a giant surge protector for every outlet in your house, instead of the ones you get on a power strip where it has a surge protector.
Well, this guy's pretty big, but the battery's beeping and it's probably $60 to replace the battery. I've replaced it once before, and it just occurred to me while you were talking that, man, I don't need a battery backup anymore, but I've left it in place for the surge aspect. But if I can not put that money into a battery replacement, I'll go get this steady power.
The other things that happens on these surge protectors that everybody buys at these stores, the first thing they look at, Steve, is the price of them. They buy one of the least expensive that's already weak to begin with. But every time there is a surge in the electrical field, it weakens that surge protector. So what people, or what they think they have and what they actually have are two different things. And there is no warranty with any surge protector that is a plug-in.
Right.
And that's what sets us apart with this one, is that 10-year protection. I mean, literally, if 9 years and 8 months into it, a lightning strike hits and doesn't get any of your equipment, it blows out the unit, you get another one. I mean, literally, that's the warranty period is 10 years, which is great. So that's what I like about this is that they, and I've never had a problem with mine. I mean, I'm in the country. We have lightning and all kinds of surge issues here all the time. And so I'm just, like I said, just like every other product, I recommend people testing it themselves, find out what it's all about. And when they get the good results, then it's another one they can share with their family. Of course, you're going to share it with friends and family first because you'd like to see them save money. But if you like to go out and develop business things, like I said, the easiest way when you buy your own is to call 5 or 10 electrical contractors in your area to have them estimate how to put it in, have them come over and see it. And then they start getting curious and you go, well, if you need one, I can be able to get you one of those too, right? So in other words, have fun with it. But that's how we meet contractors, is get something in their wheelhouse and invite them over to estimate it.
Craig, what about commercial use? Is this just for home usage?
Well, if the panel is 200 amps, then that's fine. But most commercial panels are higher, 400 amps, 600 amp, 800. I mean, there's big panels. So yeah, the unit is designed for residential use, but 200 amp panel max. And I was in Northern Virginia. I had a guy who had 3 or 4 200 amp panels at his house. So he had to get 3 or 4 of them, right? And they always complain until they hook it up, because once they hook it up, the savings is on each one of those panels, depending on the inductive load. Doesn't matter. They'll still pay for themselves. Just it takes a certain amount of time before it overcomes the cost.
So Craig, one of the things, as far as I've got an electrician down here, and he does a lot with commercial, and the 3-phase, when you've got these huge buildings that are 3-phase, what he ended up doing, he ended up daisy chaining them, put 3 to cover one 3-phase unit. So you just need you need an electrician that is a legitimate electrician. You don't need
Yes.
somebody that has an electrical license. You need to get a qualified electrician that can go ahead and look outside the box, because just like it is wonderful for a residential unit, you put 3 of them in a big commercial setting, and now you're really starting to save some money.
Tina had that question about, yeah, Tina, exactly what you said. They replace the equipment that's directly impacted by the surge or the lightning strike. Up to $25,000 is the 10-year warranty still goes. If the unit survives, if one light or both lights are out, that tells you. That's why there's indicator lights to make sure those lights are for both sides of the 110. And so once it blows out, they'll turn off, because what it does is it's going down to the ground. If you don't know, guys, at your house, the electrical wires have to be put into a ground wire, which goes up 6, 8, 10 feet down, depending on where you're at, and the end of the ground. So when there's a lightning strike, it's got to shunt it there, because lightning will light things on fire inside of your house, and watch out. So the unit's job is to sacrifice itself to avoid that from getting past the electrical panel, which is fine. But most panels have extra room for them. You always have an extra little 25 place they can put a 25 amp breaker. And if it's 2-panel, like I said, and they mount, somebody asked about it. Arnold's got a picture of it, but they're flush mount, right? They look nice. So what the contractor will do is usually just cut a hole next to the panel where they can slide this in. It mounts right on the wall. It looks good. And they can make this hidden. They can put it somewhere inside a cabinet where you can still see it. But as long as that is attached to the breaker, you're good. But like I said, when you get it and you pick it up, you'll be like, wow, this is a heavy brick of there. When you talk electronics, when it's this heavy, it's good stuff, because that means it's got big capacitors in it that are designed to store that power to get those motors started. And why they do motor start and motor run, one of them gets it running to get going, and the other one gets it started to that point where it's at the peak performance of the motor before the regular electricity. So think of that. You're getting started into the highway and you accelerate up, and then you put cruise control on, and now you're going steady. That its job is to get those motors up to that steady line. And that means you're going to you'll save a lot of money, especially if you have a big home with a lot of, nobody thinks about it. You have an AC motor, heating pump motor, a motor in your fridge, ceiling fan motor, motors out in the garage if you've got grinders and things for the stuff. So you'll be shocked at how many motors you have if you just think about it. And this completely turns those into being able to start them and get them going and save the money on them. So that's why it's so critical to have, and just get rid of, buy it for the protection and get those EMFs and those noise on the line, just shut that down, because why risk it to your electronic equipment? Even not a lightning strike will harm your electrical equipment if you don't have this type of technology. So to me, I always buy them for the protection, and then I let them pay for himself, and then I'm golden for the next however many years of the 10 years that I have the protection.
So in the back office, Steve, in for more. So first of all, you find the product, it's in more, right? There's steady power. When you go back there, Mr. Steve, they've got more details. You click on more details, and then it's going to bring up features and documents, and I forget the other one. But if you click on documents, there is a video, a 1:29 video right there, and it explains it, where general public is like, hey, it's easy, but everything's easy when you know where it is and know how to do it. But this is exciting. So we've got oh Lord, my camera fell. Hello,
Arnold. Go into the light, Carol Ann.
Yes, indeed.
Arnold, that was a perfect segue. We're about 40 minutes in, and I want to just take a moment to thank you, Craig, and thanks, Arnold, too, for your input.
Yeah.
But you've really kind of given us the fourth leg of the table when it comes to sharing and helping people eco-certify their home. It's not just laundry, it's not just air and surfaces, it's not just water, and it's not just power. It's all those things.
Right.
And I like your emphasis on the get it for the protection, and not just the electrical equipment, but our bodies. Because if we can knock down EMF and stuff like that, that's a great thing. So I just want to thank you. We have this recorded. It's being recorded still. We're going to bring it to a close, and Lori will make sure that it becomes available. And wow, thanks so much. This is an awesome product.
Awesome.
And we're going to get one for our house.
Yes. And
Every time, guys, just learn this. Every time Valara brings something out, it's worth trying out because it all works. I only work for companies that bring me things that I go, wow. And I'm not an easy wow, guys. I'm not an easy wow. You have to earn my wow.
It was really good, Craig, because of that, Liddy went ahead and used that term so we could get into this Zoom call.
wow.
Wow.
Yep. That's the password for Lori's channel.